thinking about bringing a Cane Corso into your life?
They're gorgeous dogs.
Yeah.
Powerful, loyal, we get it. But before you start picturing, like, those Instagram-worthy walks with this majestic breed,
Right.
we need to talk practicalities. Like
Yeah.
the financial side of Cane Corso ownership, that's what this deep dive is all about.
We've got breeder websites. We've got cost breakdowns.
Right.
We've even got some insights from the Cane Corso podcast, I think it's called.
To really give you that full picture. So let's talk numbers. First of all, that initial purchase price for a Cane Corso puppy.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it can be a pretty wide range.
Okay.
We're seeing prices anywhere from like $1,500 to $5,000,
Yeah.
with the average settling around $3,000.
$3,000. That's not just a couple bags of kibble.
Right.
That's a serious chunk of change.
Yeah, it really highlights that getting a Cane Corso puppy, it's not just a purchase, it's an investment. And that range in price, it often reflects the breeder's reputation. It's like anything else. Think about it like, I don't know, the difference between getting a loaf of bread from a family-run bakery, like known for its quality ingredients and everything, versus, just grabbing like a mass-produced loaf from the grocery store.
Right, right.
So you're paying for their expertise. You're paying for, them hopefully breeding healthy dogs with good temperaments, not just, a cute phase.
So it's like any big purchase, it sounds like. You're saying you've really got to do your homework on the breeder, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And location plays a part, too, kind of like real estate, right? Like a breeder in, a major city like New York or Los Angeles is probably going to charge a premium compared to a breeder in, a more rural area.
Makes sense.
Even the individual puppy's traits can make a difference.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like if they have like a unique coat color or markings.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they might come with a higher price tag. Just basic supply and demand.
Okay, so you've emphasized finding a good breeder a lot, but what about adoption?
Because that's usually a more budget-friendly option, right?
It absolutely is. We're talking like an average adoption fee of around $300.
Okay.
Which is, like you said, significantly less than buying from a breeder.
Right.
But here's the catch with adoption, and it's an important one.
Okay.
That thorough research is, if anything, even more critical when you're going through a rescue.
Okay.
You want to find an organization that's really transparent about the dog's history, like the temperament, their health background, any potential quirks they might have.
Sure.
Because you're giving a dog a second chance, and you want to make sure that it's the right fit for both of you.
Right. So you're saving money up front, potentially, but you don't want to walk into a situation blindly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so we've tackled that initial cost.
But as any pet owner knows,
Yeah.
that is just the beginning. It's the recurring expenses month after month that can really add up. It's like
having a monthly subscription box, but for your dog.
But, this one's not optional. You've got to pay it every single month. You've got your essentials every month. Your food, your vet care, your grooming.
Yep, those are non-negotiables.
Exactly.
Yeah. And just like the subscription boxes, it's easy to underestimate like how those costs can sneak up on you.
Absolutely.
So let's unpack those monthly costs a little bit.
Starting with food, because, we are talking about a large breed here. These are big dogs.
Yeah.
They can't exactly survive on, a handful of kibbles a day.
Right, and that's where quality really matters, both for their health and for, honestly, your wallet.
Okay.
You're probably looking at budgeting around $80 to $120 per month for, a good high-quality dog food.
$80 to $120. I see that's more than my weekly grocery bill sometimes.
It's like, wow.
It might sound steep, but think of it this way. It's an investment in preventative care because, when you're feeding your dog a high-quality diet, it can actually help avoid certain, health issues down the road,
Right.
which could mean, potentially fewer vet visits, fewer hefty vet bills in the future.
It's that age-old wisdom of, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Yeah.
But applied to our furry friends.
Exactly.
Okay. Speaking of vet care, that's another essential, right?
Absolutely. Your routine checkups, vaccinations, flea and tick prevention, all of those really important preventative measures, those will typically set you back an additional $50 to $80 a month. So, it's basically like having a furry dependent on your health insurance plan.
Yeah. And then, of course, you've got grooming. Those short coats they've got might seem pretty low maintenance,
right?
But regular brushing is still a must. And a trip to a professional groomer, every couple of months or so, that could cost you somewhere between $40 and $70, depending on, where you live and the groomer's expertise and all that.
Yeah. I guess even with a short-haired breed, you can't escape those grooming costs entirely.
It all adds up, you know?
Hello.
Like, I'm starting to understand why people say that owning a dog is kind of like having a furry, four-legged money pit.
Right.
In the most loving way possible, of course.
Of course, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're not wrong to be thinking about that long-term financial picture here.
No, not at all. When you consider all of those monthly expenses that we just talked about and factor in, the average lifespan of a cane corso, which is,
Yeah.
somewhere between 10, 12 years,
Mm-hmm.
you're looking at a significant investment.
Yeah.
We're talking like potentially somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000 over your dog's life.
Okay. Yeah, that's not an insignificant number at all.
Right.
Suddenly that old adage, adopt, don't shop, is resonating even more with me.
Right. It's all about being prepared, making those responsible choices. And remember that estimate, that includes, factoring in potential health issues, which unfortunately cane corsos are prone to a few.
Okay.
They can be susceptible to things like hip dysplasia, elbow dysplasia. That's basically where, the joints don't form properly, which can cause, pain, mobility problems. Then there's bloat. That's a life-threatening condition that affects, a lot of larger breeds, unfortunately.
Those sound pretty serious, and I imagine those unexpected vet bills can really set you back.
Oh, absolutely. You're right. And that's why you see a lot of these sources, like, we mentioned in Certify, Spot Pet.
Right.
They really emphasize pet insurance, especially for cane corsos, because it's a way to at least, help mitigate some of those costs if those unexpected health issues do end up popping up.
It's like having that safety net.
Exactly.
For those just-in-case scenarios.
Yeah.
You hope you never need it, but you're sure glad you have it if you do.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So we talked about the importance of, finding that reputable breeder.
Hopefully for healthy pups. Any other, tips or tricks for maybe keeping those costs down a little bit without compromising, obviously, on your cane corso's well-being?
Oh, absolutely. Well, food's a big one. It might be tempting to go for the cheapest brand you can find on this shelf at the grocery store or whatever.
Right.
But often, those really cheap brands, they lack the nutritional value of, some of the higher quality options.
So you might end up paying more in vet bills down the line.
Exactly. It's like the old saying, you get what you pay for.
Right.
It applies to dog food too.
Okay.
Investing in a good diet for your dog can really save you money and heartache in the long run.
Makes sense. What about grooming? Because, they've got those short, sleek coats. Is professional grooming really, essential?
Not necessarily a deal breaker, but regular brushing at home is really important.
Yeah.
Just to prevent mats and tangles. You can absolutely learn to do, some basic grooming yourself, bathing, nail trims. There's tons of resources online and stuff.
Right. So factor in, the time commitment there, and then maybe a couple upfront investments for some DIY grooming tools. And
Okay, yeah. So we've covered that financial side pretty extensively.
we have.
But there's more to, being a responsible Cane Corso owner than just the numbers, right?
Oh, absolutely. Bringing a cane corso into your life, it is a commitment,
Yeah.
emotionally, physically, and of course, financially, like we've been talking about. But, these are dogs that really thrive on human interaction. They need an outlet for all that energy.
Okay.
They're not the kind of breed that's, content to just lounge around the house all day.
So what does that look like in terms of daily life with a Cane Corso? I imagine those daily walks are a little more than just a quick stroll around the block to, do their business and come back.
Right. Yeah, you got it. Cane Corsos, they were originally bred as working dogs, so they need that, they need both physical and mental stimulation. Think daily walks, playtime, maybe even some agility training, getting them involved in dog sports, that kind of thing.
So maybe not the best fit for someone who works super long hours and prefers a more sedentary lifestyle.
Right. I mean, they can adapt, but it's about finding the right match, right? If you
Wow.
can't provide that level of activity, then a cane corso might not be the best fit for your lifestyle.
It's about being honest about what you can realistically provide.
Right.
Now, we've talked a lot about the financial commitment, but this is another kind of investment too, right? It's your time, your energy, your
Absolutely.
So for those potential Cane Corso owners out there listening who are maybe thinking, okay, this is something I'm really seriously considering. What are some like key takeaways that you really want them to reflect on?
Yeah, and it's all connected, right? Like it's not just the financial investment, it's also that time commitment.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance.
Yeah.
Making sure you're not only financially prepared for this, but you're also ready to really provide that that time, that energy, the commitment that a Cane Corso really deserves.
A lot to think about.
It is.
And we've covered, like we said, those typical costs, but it's important to remember every dog is an individual.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. And those unexpected expenses, they can always pop up, especially with a breed that, might be prone to certain health issues like we talked about.
Right. And those hip and elbow problems we talked about earlier,
Right.
Those aren't just a quick trip to the vet, unfortunately.
Yeah, those are
a little more serious.
Those are conditions that could require, ongoing management, medication, even surgery in some cases. So, we could be talking, potentially thousands of dollars in vet bills if those things pop up. Yeah, it's not about like, scaring anybody off or anything, but
Right.
but it's about being realistic, right?
Yeah.
And being prepared.
Exactly. And that's why, doing that research beforehand, like we were talking about, on those common health issues is so crucial. So you're not, totally caught off guard if those situations do arise.
Knowledge is power, as they say, especially when it comes to your dog's health. So,
100%.
okay.
Yeah.
So, we talked about finding that reputable breeder and how that can help mitigate some of those costs in the long run.
Yeah. And that's huge, actually.
You're more likely to get a healthier pup.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's like choosing, really high quality building materials when you're building a house.
Okay.
Yeah. It might cost a little more upfront, but it can save you a ton of money on, repairs and headaches down the line.
I like that analogy. That's good. All right. So we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about the costs. We've talked about the care, the commitment involved in bringing a Cane Corso into your life.
Mm-hmm.
As we kind of wrap up this deep dive here, what's like the one final takeaway you really want to leave our listeners with? That one thing to really ponder, as they're going through this decision-making process of, is a Cane Corso right for me?
It really boils down to owning a Cane Corso. It's a privilege, not a right.
Okay.
These are incredible dogs. They're loyal. They're intelligent. They're full of personality.
Right.
But they do require a certain lifestyle. And a really deep understanding of their needs. So, don't just get swept up in those impressive looks.
Right.
Really ask yourself, can I truly provide the care, the training, the attention that this breed deserves?
It's about looking beyond that initial excitement of, oh my gosh, this dog is gorgeous, I need this dog in my life, and asking those tougher questions of like, okay, but can I handle those slobbery kisses on my freshly cleaned windows?
Right.
Can I handle those powerful zoomies in my not so spacious apartment? Like really, really thinking about those things.
Exactly. Those are the questions you got to be asking yourself.
Yeah, those are important ones. And if after all of that, you've done your research, you've weighed that commitment, you feel confident in your ability to provide that loving and fulfilling life for a Cane Corso, those rewards are, they're immense.
They are. There's something really special about the bond that you build with this breed. When it's the right fit, it's really magical.
It's a special breed.
It is.
And that, I think, at the end of the day, that's priceless.
You can't put a price on that.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking this deep dive with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure chatting with you. And to all of our listeners out there, thank you, as always, for joining us. And we'll catch you next time for another deep dive.